excited to introduce Chris Wagner from Lake of the Ozarks. He's been working really closely with me on this presentation, and he's excited to share with you how he feels about Foremost and his success with Foremost, as well as success he's had with his agency. So as you can see here, he's been an agency owner for 15 years, started as a scratch agent. He's got 3,700 policies in force. He's been to Toppers just a few times, 10 times, and 6 times championship. So that's amazing. 3 years, he's been a specialty agent of the year. 3 years in Missouri, he's been a commercial agent of the year. So certainly a very well-rounded agency owner. He's been agent of the year in his district in 2016. He's got 2 blue vases and multiple year elite agent, commercial agent. So lots of great experience here. I'm super excited to have him on our call and share with you his success. I want to point out that Chris is licensed in lots of states, including Minnesota. And this happens to be a picture here on his snowmobile in Duluth, up on Spirit Mountain. And then last year he took a trip with his family to northern Minnesota. So very familiar with our state, and he's excited to be here. So Chris, why don't we start and let you share how you got started?
Yeah, man, I'm happy to be with you guys this morning. Can I just say I've been through really good district managers, really bad district managers, no district manager for like a year and a half. We were kind of abandoned. What you guys are doing is incredible. As agents, you should be ecstatic that you have the support that you guys have with these 2 districts. It's honestly incredible what you guys are doing to support the agency force. So as hard as it is to be an agent on a day-to-day basis, that's really cool to see. So yeah, I actually was out of high school. I've never taken one college class in my life. I out of high school was a union pipe fitter for 11 years. And in that I was racing motocross and obviously snowmobiles, and raced at the Canterbury Downs there, at Shakopee, quite a bit, and Duluth, and all over the place, all over the country. And then just kind of, as that was I was getting older, and I was always looking for something else to do, you know what I mean? And I really didn't know what that would be. So I'm from Lake of the Ozarks. I moved to Northern Illinois when I was like 14, and lived up there, worked for a big construction company out of Madison, Wisconsin. And then I moved back to the lake in 06 because I really hated Illinois. It's not a fun state. If you've ever been there, Wisconsin and Minnesota are amazing, right? But Illinois is not so much. And so I moved back to the lake where I grew up, and was just always kind of looking for something else to do. And so Farmers had a thing that said, hey, if you're moving to the lake and want a job, hey, let's check it out. So I literally was working construction for 10 hours a day and then selling insurance at night till I felt like I had enough to sustain myself. So I literally refied my house, took out $40,000, so I had enough to live off of, and quit a fairly good job. I mean, in 06, I was making $40 an hour plus out of town money and all that stuff. It was a really good union job, and I quit it cold turkey to start the agency. And I was like, I'm going this direction, right? Like, I don't want to do this anymore. The money was great, but I was never home. And at the time I was dating my wife and we weren't married yet, but at some point I was like, I do not want to have a job where I'm gone all the time. I'm missing my kids' stuff. Don't want to do that. So literally quit, and here we went. And I would love to have the program that we have now, right? Like back in the day, it was like, hey, here's $1,000. Good luck. Hope you make it. If you don't sell enough, you're out. And now it's incredible what's available, but I still feel like there is no better company to work for. The support we get with claims and things like that, and the ability to go on trips that we've earned over the years. I still feel like it's one of the best opportunities in America, honestly. So yeah, but my wife's on this kick right now that we're going to all the national parks. That was, I think, number 19 and 20 last summer, where there's 63 of them we're trying to get to. And let me tell you, Lake Superior is no joke, man. Going to that Isle Royale, that was something else.
Yeah, it's amazing. Awesome. So one of the things you mentioned, Chris, was that you never purchase leads. So how does that work for you, and how did you really start your agency without buying leads, when right now I think so many agents just, that's their main marketing source, is buying leads? So can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's never just worked for me, right? Like I've tried to use the ones that we've gotten for free or whatever, but you know, maybe the district would purchase some, but it's just never been something that ever worked in my agency. And I think every situation and every demographic is different for each agent, right? Like there's some things that will work for some people. We have Kansas City, St. Louis agents that use them and they work well for them. It just never worked well for my area. It was either people I'd already talked to, or I just felt like I was wasting my time and my money to get in front of people. So we went down the route of anything I could do to get in front of somebody, whether that was like a networking chamber, right? Believe it or not, there's 4 different chambers here at Lake of the Ozarks. So we're a member of all 4. We have business, you know, B&I, business networking groups. We're a part of 3 of those. We do a ton of like trade shows and a ton of getting in front of people at, you know, sporting events or wherever I could go to. I could pop up my tent and have stuff to talk to people and do a giveaway. Those were so much easier on warm leads. And the close ratio on those were so much higher that that's just kind of what we spent our time on doing. And it really has worked out well for us. I mean, it's just more of I guess I would say a referral based community. I also don't have a lot of people that live here, right? Like Lake of the Ozarks is not that big in retrospect. I mean, my town is 1,400 people and the next closest is 5,000. So a lot of people don't even live here. So we want to make sure that we're getting in front of people on the times when they are here, right? When they're vacationing and stuff like that. And so that's why a lot of events and a lot of referral partners. So when I say referral partners, you know, your mortgage brokers, your bankers, your property managers. I'll get into a little bit of that later, but you know, a lot of those people that are going to be every day doing business and have the ability to send you business, that's who I need to get in front of. And I need to make them look good, right? Like I need to be able to be willing to do stuff that nobody else wants to do. So if that means that you have something that you need to get done on a Saturday and you call me, I'm going to do it, right? Like I'm going to answer the phone. If you've got a claim and somebody wants to be a part of my agency, well, then I'm going to bend over backwards to help them. So if they got a claim and they need help, I don't let any one of my customers call in a claim on their own. And if we do get one that happens, I'm calling them immediately and taking care of it with them. So we don't want them to ever feel like we're not helping them or committing on our promise that we gave them when we sold them the policy. But really, just getting in front of people and working those referral partners and those type of things has really, I guess, worked for us.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, Chris, can you just talk a little bit about your staff in your agency? When you started, at what point did you say, oh, hey, I need to bring on someone else, either in sales role or a customer service role, and just speak to that staff you have now in your agency? Yeah,
for sure. So I have seen over the years, when I first started, then you go back to, I don't even know if they have this anymore, but Accelerator, where basically 2 years after you go back and kind of meet with people. And it's interesting that out of that whole group, I think I have one person left. He's actually in Rockford, Minnesota, that started with us, that is still an agent. But there was a guy there that literally really struggled, and he was like at 2,500 policies and he was by himself, right? Like he was doing everything on his own. And I saw that and I'm like, okay, that's not going to be me, right? And then one of our agents down the street, actually, it was him and his dad, maybe part-time because his dad was older, and he actually had a stroke because of it, because he didn't have enough staff. He didn't have enough support. I would much rather have more support and more staff than anything else. So I think I was around 700, maybe 600 policies when I hired my first person. And I can't tell you how important that is. I don't care what you have to do to hire somebody. If you are doing too much service work, or you're doing sales in an area that you do not want to do or do not enjoy, then you need to fill that position. You need to replicate yourself and find someone to do it. So I think once we had the first CSR, right? Like the first person I hired was a CSR. Then we hired another CSR to support kind of both sides, because we were doing a lot of commercial and we were doing a lot of personal lines. So I had maybe the person up front was doing doing the calls, kind of answering phone calls, doing billing, checking on alerts, doing all that kind of stuff. And then I had the other person helping with the back end with like, hey, if we got a document that needs to be signed, we got inspection issues, we got this, and this. So we kind of went that route. And then I started moving myself to like doing things, because I was selling all of it, right? Like I was auto, home, life, health, commercial, whatever we sold, I was doing it. And I'm like, I got to find a way to like piece that off. So, I just started with another PNC person. Majority in our agency right now, I do commercial, and then I am registered rep. So I do a lot of the FFS, and that's kind of it right now. So as we kept growing, I just added more PNC people. We added a renewal person when I got to the point of I was doing the commercial life FFS and renewals. And that really got to me where I was get these phone calls. I was in the middle of everything. I just get these phone calls. People are irate because they want to cancel, right? Because we couldn't get in front of it, even though we were trying our best to email them or call them. We just really weren't making that happen. So I literally dedicated a person to just doing the FFRs. So they call, they email, they text, they set up appointments. Their only job is to try and do everything they possibly can to save that person money or to give them better coverage or whatever. And there's so many times I can tell you that we've had people come in that have said one of two things happens. Well, I can't afford this. I need to, look at lowering my bill. Okay, let's go through your coverage. My job and your guys' job is to educate your customer. Like that's number one, right? Like I need to educate them. Or what are we doing? We're just selling on price. So if they come in and they say, hey, I need to save money, and we go through all this stuff and we kind of re-educate them, I can't tell you how many times we've actually upsold them more coverage, right? Upsold them another, umbrella, or maybe there were some coverages in their houses that they didn't have at the time and now they do. So that has happened quite a bit. The second thing that has happened is if they come in and they say, hey, I got this quote and it's cheaper. Okay, cool. Let me see it. 95% of the time it's stripped down, right? Like they took away earthquake, or they took away sewer and drain, or they took away whatever. And if we go, hey, if that's what you want, again, we're educating them. This is what you want. Take it back down to what they were matched. We're cheaper, right? So it's like, you're not really saving anything, but just having those conversations and if they do end up leaving, like if they just absolutely end up leaving, they don't want to, right? Like they know that we've done everything we can to keep them. And a lot of times they come back, right? Like they may the next year go, hey, this is what I thought it was. I would love to come back to your agency.
So Chris, talk to us a little bit more about specialty and how you lead with specialty. You have a lot of, you have a unique system with specialty.
Yeah. So I think what also is interesting being in a tourist trap, you would want to say, right? Like at the Ozarks, I get a lot of people that are like, well, you write a lot of specialty because you live in a tourist area. Like that's going to happen. And I said, yeah, no. And I said, the reason I say no is 40 to 50% of the households out there in America have a toy, right? So like, that's a pretty big statistic. It doesn't mean just because they're in a vacation area or something like that, that they're going to have that. Right now, I'm not in the lead in the state of Missouri for specialty. It's actually a guy in Kansas City, right? Like in a metro area that has the lead for specialty. And I asked him, I said, are you doing a lot of like vacants and stuff like that? Like, mobile homes and stuff. He's like, no, I'm not. So it's just kind of incorporating, that process with your regular sales. But I would say ever since I started, we have done more of what I call like leading with specialty, right? I almost have to work backwards, or I do work backwards in the fact that like, maybe I'm going after the boat, or I'm going after the jet ski, or I'm going after whatever. And then I'm like, oh, by the way, you can save 5% of your home and auto, and I'm working backwards to get the rest of it. But I'm trying to lead with specialty. And we do that a couple different ways. Is one, obviously we have specialists that go to all these trade shows and stuff like that. But one of the other ones that has really helped me is I've really gotten in with these dealer people around the area. Now, obviously, Minnesota has a lot of recreational stuff. There's a lot of dealers out there, ATV dealers, side-by-side dealers. They sell in the tri-tunes, all these things fit into our program, right? So we work out with, 3 to 4 dealers just in our town alone that they are actually licensed and appointed and sell for us. And every one of those things that they're selling, if they're selling 500, maybe it's 300 on the low end, but there's places here that sell 1,000 units a year. If we can just get a piece of that, right? Like that's huge. And they're already doing stuff anyway with the financing, right? You go to the F&I guy and you say, hey, I would love to work with you. And some of these have taken me years to get in front of, right? Like maybe they were doing their own thing or whatever, but the way they were doing it, or whoever they were working with, they slip up, right? And like, here I am always constantly going, hey, I'd love to work with you, love to work with you. And now we've got an opportunity. So it's more of like, if I was going to buy leads, those are the leads I'm buying, right? Like I'm doing them probably majority of the commission, and I'm buying the one piece that they're selling, and I'm working backwards to get the rest of it. But that has worked really, really, really extremely well for us. I can't say that enough. Especially being as like, it gives you more of a, hey, I'm not just doing a boat, or I'm not just doing jet ski. They have so many different things and so many different gamuts, right? Getting in front of forums, right? So if we are on Facebook, if you're on Facebook, I encourage you to join some of those forums, right? Side-by-side forums, boating forums. They're all over the place. Right before National Sales Week, I was literally getting ready to do that call, and there was a guy in one of them that said, hey, anybody know anybody, you know, that does insurance on side-by-sides? And I was kind of like, hey, that's me, I'll help you out. And you know, 5 minutes later, we're writing the policy on the guy. So really, really easy products as well. So I don't know if you want me to go into that now. I kind of can, but
Sure.
Yeah, please.
so what I love about specialty is the ease of doing business with them, right? So once you know the product and you know how to quote it and stuff, you can literally run one in 3 to 5 minutes. So if it's something that's, give you an example. And I think it was a couple days ago when you and I were talking, Robin, we had a guy that called in and he was like, hey, I need this tri-tune, whatever. And so I said, yeah, no problem. So I worked it up, right? 3 minutes, called him back, had it sold. So 2 things with this. One is it was $174 pontoon policy. Okay, great. A lot of people are probably like, I don't want to mess with that. It's a lot of time out of my day for whatever. If I don't, you know, if I'm not making money, a ton of money, you're making 20 bucks or whatever it is. But in that, one, it was easy. 2, it led me to have a conversation with the guy that ended up being, he was purchasing a vacation home down here, ended up being a $5,000 VRBO policy with Foremost as well. So those things really lead into other things. If you are working with somebody that doesn't, not only, you don't have to have somebody set up any deal, but if you just work closely with those people and you get them to refer them to you, I mean, again, if they need something on a Saturday, then do it for them, right? Like if they call you, it takes 3 to 5 minutes to sell that thing, and then you've got a new lead, a warm lead, and maybe you don't sell them right then, but you follow up with them in 3 to 6 months. Hey, I know we did this boat. I'd love to have the opportunity to do your, you know, home and auto and save you 5%. Can I give you a quote? I don't know who's going to say no to that, right? Like it's pretty easy to get them to do that. And we can go back the year after even and work through those leads. So it's been a really good thing with that side of things as well.
Hey, Chris,
Go ahead.
you know, obviously there's been a lot of changes with the company, whether it's systems related, VRC related. What are some of the changes you made in the last 12 months with your team, with your approach, your marketing, and just how you kind of pivoted? Obviously you have your niche, but what changes have you kind of implemented in the last 12 months?
So one of the things too, I guess I could say to that is, I was going to talk about this a little later, but I'm just going to dive into it right now. So I think one of the things with having these people as specialists and stuff and having them do different things, one of my struggles has always been life. Like it's always been a struggle for me. And so we hired a life specialist this year that is conjunction with a health person. So that's a health and life person that's all they do. And they are really good at it, right? And they are making that go where I could never have. Like I wasn't as good at it as what she is, right? So where I'm going with that is in pivoting is I feel like when you have multiple facets of your agency, like if we're selling a lot of specialty, probably one of the things I'm most proud of is that AGM award, because if people don't know what AGM was, that was the agency growth model. And that means you have a balanced agency, right? So that means I've got to have every line has got to be good in order for me to win an award like that. But if I have specialty stuff that I'm doing, I have commercial stuff that I do, I have financial stuff I'm doing, PNC, we've got life, we've got health, we've got all these things, that has allowed me to stand up. Meaning if one of my products is not doing well or not selling good, I can stand up on the other one and lead or go with the other one to make my agency still run and not go down, right? One of the guys that I was in the original class with like 15 years ago, you know, he said, there's always going to be a wall, right? We got to go around it, over it, down, around, however you got to do it. You got to figure it out. So we've just poured more things into doing more contacts with people and really ramping up our connections with our marketing partners and stuff like that. But I can tell you for sure 100% that if I hadn't had all those different parts of my agency, it really would have been a struggle. Like this year alone, like clockwork, we had grown this agency by like 300 policies a year, like clockwork, like over and over and over every year. It was like I mean, just keep going, 300 a year. Last year with everybody else, it's not a secret that it was a big issue and everybody was struggling. We lost 500 policies last year, 500. So I was a little over 4,300 policies, right? However, had I not had these other parts of my agency, we really would have struggled more than we did. And even with losing all that stuff, we still grew by $40,000 a year in premium. So we're still surviving through all that stuff and pivoting to just make sure that like, hey, if I'm not winning here, then I need to win over here until this resets itself. I can tell you for sure in 15 years, it goes like this. I've had times where I couldn't sell a homeowner's policy to save my life. And then I had ones where I couldn't write them fast enough, right? So it's going to go in waves. You got to figure out a way to get through that hard time and keep going. But if I'm not competitive here, we have tons of products to sell. I'm competitive somewhere. I just have to find it, right?
Love it.
So,
So when you do sales, we're selling the foremost product, which is kind of in my mind, a premier product compared to some of the other stuff out there. How do you sell value or separate our product from maybe a stripped down progressive one or something?
Yeah, great question. So one thing I love about that product too is our close rates are through the roof, right? Like some of them they're 50+%. The other big one is I do two things. One is you have to know your product. You have to know your product in and out, because if I can create doubt in the other competitor's product, right, that's going to be a big thing. So when I'm doing that, I'm just going to draw this sheet because I'm doing it. But let's say I had farmers and I have my competitor, and here's the product. So I've got farmers on one side, I've got a competitor on the other, and I know this is really rudimentary, and I've got the product down here and I've got the prices on both sides. At the bottom, I'm going to put the total. Okay. And then I'm going to, below that, I'm going to put every single thing that we're offering that that their competitor is not. And without a doubt, I have done this and sold higher than what we are, meaning up to $1,000 more a year than what they are paying. We have been able to sell these, but for sure, the product knowledge is what gets us. So if I'm talking to a person, let's just say for a boat specifically, I'm going to say we have no layup. You don't lose the coverage, right? Like you get the discount, but we're not losing the coverage. That's really important with people that have outboards, that maybe you have a really nice day. In Missouri, you could have a really nice day. It'd be 70 degrees in January. You don't have to winterize that boat, right? Because it's got an outboard that can take it out if they want. And they've got the coverage. Most competitors have the layup, but they also lose the navigation coverage, right? We've got permissive driver. So if you have grandkids and stuff like that that come down and they're riding the jet ski, you're going to be covered. We've got the fact that I kind of lost my train of thought here, but you've got diminishing deductible, right? So every year that you're with Foremost or Farmer's product, you save 25% of your deductible. This one has been really good, not only on the front end, but also on retention, because, hey, I want to move this product. Well, you've been with us 4 years, you have a $0 deductible. And maybe with that competitor, they've got a 1% or a 2% if it's a bigger boat or something like that. So that has saved us, right? Not only that, but they're going to lose the 5% on the home and auto. But so many things like that within the product that separate us from everybody else. Water sports liability. If they're towing a tuber or a skier on our elite packages, we cover that. I don't really know a lot of other competitors that are doing that or even covering that, right? Uninsured watercraft, we're covering that. I know for a fact there's some companies out there that don't cover that. So just separating that out and really educating the client, creating doubt. American Family for sure is ACV only on a boat where we're stated value, right? Or replacement cost. So that's a big deal for a lot of people. And just really honing in on that, like, this is my product. This is why it's better, right? You don't get any of this at your competitor. And that's really what is working on the front end and a lot of times on the back end.
You talk a little bit, Chris, about retention with specialty and density. Want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think density, right, is when density is, policies per household. And if you're a normal agent and you're just writing a lot of auto and home and you don't have that density, that's always been one of our highlights as an agency, is we've always had, an average of 3 to 4 policies per household versus the average 2.5 or whatever it is. And that's created by specialty. They for sure are not going to leave. They don't want to lose the whole account. You know what I mean? They don't want to lose the savings that they're going to have with the retention. There's just so many things with that. So many times that I've had specialties save our accounts on the retention side, but for sure density is a big one, right? Like if I can do more for less work, right? Like by having that completed account, knowing another agent can't get in there and steal the rest of it back. So if I've got the specialty product as a hold in there, there's not an agent out there holding that policy, and then when it comes up for renewal, trying to get the rest of it. So, and I think another big one is asking up front too. We have a lot of, ask. Those life guys will say, a couple times I've had my CSR, whoever's taking the information, right? And they say, hey, do you have a boat, jet ski, a motorcycle, travel trailer? Do you have any of that? No, I don't. Then we get in front of them and we kind of just ask them again, hey, I just want to make sure I'm giving you every opportunity and every discount that we have available. Do you have a jet ski, or do you have a boat, or do you have a side-by-side? Yeah, I've got that, but it's over here with this other company, this specialty company. I'm like, well, we can do that. And actually we've got a better product, and boom, 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 here's why. And we can try to get it back in. I don't know why people feel like they think it needs to be with some type of, different insurance or specialty insurance, but that does happen sometimes where they have their toy on a standalone type thing. So if we can really get that in there and round out the account and create that full account, it's going to help us on the end.
So Natalie's got a question. We talked earlier about having licensed and appointed people that work at dealerships. Could you maybe talk a little bit more about that? Kind of how'd you get it set up? How do you comp the people?
Yeah, so basically you would do it the same as you would do any other like type of salesperson. So I have 2 different types of salespeople in the office. I have the ones that work either in the office or remote a few days a week. Those are W-2 people that we are paying with, benefits and those type of things, vacation, all that stuff. Then we have the ones that we do on dealers, and or if they're just, some of my salespeople work complete, 100% remote. Then what I do is I pay them 75% new business and 50% renewal of the gross commission. Now I know that seems high, but again, I'm just trying to get that one product. I'm just trying to get that one deal, and I'm still making a little bit of money, but I didn't do any work. Those people that I have and the way I compensate them like that, I don't do anything, right? They literally do it all. They sell it. They send it to me after it's over and say, hey, congratulations on your new Wave Runner. I've, copied Chris Wagner, the owner of the agency. If we can do anything else for you in the future, let me know. Boom. Then I follow up with them in 3 or 6 months and try to get the rest of it. But I literally did 0 work. So that's a little bit how I structure that. I hope that answers that question, but they're literally just 1099 salespeople, just like you would anybody else that was in your agency.
Chris, how do you manage those people? Do you go in and maybe meet with them periodically, or do they come to staff meetings, or how do you kind of manage that and staff meetings? I guess you've got such a large staff. How do you manage that?
Yeah, so we have, I probably meet with them probably once a month, right? When we're doing folios and stuff like that, and we meet with them once a month. Again, they're not overly selling a bunch of products, right? Like they're just selling a few things here and there. They're not something that once you get to know the foremost product, right? It's pretty easy to know it. I do give them a booklet that says, here's where the product is, here's where it goes, here's why we're, here's some selling points. On the front end of it, when we do bring them on, we do work with them pretty intensely for a good 3 months of like doing sales with them, whether that's phone calls over the phone or we meet with their customers in person. But we do a lot of that up front, and then we just kind of meet with them once a month. As far as my other staff, we have it looks like we have a lot of staff, more than we do, honestly, because obviously one of them is my wife, who does our back end and our books. So she's licensed and appointed and was doing some things in the agency, but as we got busier, she just does a lot of the back end. and the book stuff, but she still is licensed and appointed. I've moved people around. Having a lot of staff has been good because I've had people leave. I've had them move from CSR to sales, back to a different part of sales. So that's been good. But, you know, we have I would say right now we have the 6 P&C, the 1 FFR person, the life and health person, and then I've got 1 person in transition, and then 1 person or 2 people that are the boat sales people. So from the dealers, but really we're just getting them going and whatever they need, right? Like if they need something from me or if they need help explaining or they've got a question, my cell phone's always on. They can call me, they can text me. But it's really easy to track. They've got their own writing number, just like any other producer in your agency. And if they've got issues, that we're just a phone call away. But most of the time, once we get them going, it's pretty seamless.
Awesome. You talk about quoting, Chris, and that you mentioned execute and time management. What do you mean by that?
So I don't know if you've ever heard of Gary Vee, right? Like the serial entrepreneur guy, but he talks a lot about executing and time management. And I, for a little bit, struggled quite a bit with trying to keep making sure I was having time every day to sell something, right? So, you know, he talks about, well, if you've got, 24 hours in a day and most people can work on 6 or 7 hours of sleep a night and spend 10 hours a day at work, and then you spend 2 hours, 3 hours with your kids, those other 2 to 4 hours, what are you doing with them? Right? Like, are you executing there when you can? But I think the happy work-life balance is really important. I've got a 6 and a 7-year-old, so it's really important that I'm there for them too. So I want to make sure that I'm executing on my time management during work and I have opportunities to sell things. So again, when I got to the point where I was doing too much service work or doing sales that were affecting things that I needed to be doing, then I just shifted to having somebody else do it or putting somebody in that position that could do it better than me. But quoting and effective time management every day is really, really important to getting those quotes out and getting those quotes back out same day. I can't tell you how many times that has helped us to where if like we get somebody calls in, whether it's, online or they call us or we've met them and we've gotten the opportunity, we've gotten the information. I want to get that back to them immediately. Within 5 to 10 minutes, I really want to try to work up the quotes as fast as I can with my team and get them back to the customer because nobody else is doing that. Right. Again, I got to be willing to do something else nobody else wants to do. I was watching, which, you can get sucked into, but I was watching TikTok the other day and one of the guys said, I'm happier the harder it is because no one else will follow. And I thought that was really interesting because he said it shifts from, oh, poor me to, oh, poor everyone else is going to have to try. And I really feel that's true in our business. There's a lot of hard times and there have been a lot of hard times, but there's a lot of good opportunities to be had. And I feel like once I go through a hard cycle, then the next cycle is 10 times better. But I don't want it to be easy because then everybody's going to do it. You know what I mean? Like everybody's going to be an agent and I don't want it to be easy. I want it to be hard so that I can be successful and that we can really do something that nobody else is doing. So I just think I never want to lose sight of where I started, right? Like I don't want to lose sight of the fact that I did all this stuff and all this hard work and quit that other job and sacrificed years to get where I'm at just to be like, oh, I had a hard year, last year. So I think that's really important is family and time management and just executing on what you have. You have time in life to do everything you want to do in this business and be successful if you do it correctly and manage your time.
So Chris, what are your agency goals this year and what national parks are you going to next?
So we've got 3 on the East Coast that we're going to. I don't really remember the names of them, but there's 3 on the East Coast. And then this year, my goal is to write 5 life a month. So our biggest year has been, I think, 23, which is absolutely unacceptable for an agency my size. Like it's just been something I really struggled with. So hiring that person and getting her in place is something we want to do. And we're on track for that. So, but I want to do that because I want to make PC. I've got a lot of commercial stuff in the hopper, things we want to do. And I just want to say last year, even though it was we lost out of 500 policies, I lost 2 policies that were $300,000 a year in premium combined. right? And we still ended up being able to make more income. But everything's always going to hit you and you're going to be like, I don't know how it can get any worse than this, right? Like those are my 2 biggest accounts that I had for like 6+ years. So things are going to happen, but we definitely want to make a shot for PC. We are doing 2 proteges this year. I've got one on. I have turned one out in the past. They went becoming an agent about 30 miles north of us. If you're not doing that program, I would really suggest that you do, because it's a good way to bring somebody in, even if they don't want to become their own agent. It's a good way to find a really good AP or a good producer. But we've got one really good one working right now, and I want to put on another one before the end of the year. So I want to do 2 proteges, 50 live, and I want to balance out the rest of my agency so we can make PC. Those are my goals.
Awesome, nice.
Well, I think we got all the questions answered. If you guys have anything else, we can always, follow up with Chris on it. But with that, I appreciate your time. Thanks for sharing. It's always great to have guests from other parts of the country come on and talk about what's working, and always take a lot away from it. So thanks for the time, Chris. Thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll get the Friday recap email out with the slides, contact information, and all the articles from this week. Thanks, guys.
We are farmers. Bum, ba, dum, bum, 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 bum.